Most people are living a total lie, and if you're honest with yourself, you're probably one of them. You wake up every single morning putting on a costume designed to please people who don't even care if you're alive. You are literally a prisoner in a jail where the bars are made of other people's opinions, and the worst part is that you're the one holding the key. We spend our entire lives performing for an audience that is too busy looking at their own reflections to notice our carefully crafted masks. But there was a single, terrifying moment that changed everything for one man, a moment where the world finally went quiet and the judgment of others lost its power forever. If you don't understand the secret shift that happened in his mind that day, you will remain a puppet for the rest of your miserable, controlled existence. Imagine a man who had everything the world tells you to want: a high-paying job, a respectable social circle, and a reputation for being the perfect guy. On the outside, he was a success, but on the inside, he was slowly suffocating under the weight of 1,000 imaginary eyes. Every decision he made, from the clothes he wore to the way he laughed at jokes that weren't funny, was calculated to avoid the sting of criticism. He was so terrified of being judged that he had actually forgotten who he really was beneath the layers of social performance. He lived in constant fear that if he slipped up, even once, the delicate house of cards he called a life would come crashing down around him. But then, something snapped in a way that no one saw coming, leading to a revelation so dark it might change you too. The turning point didn't happen in a moment of triumph or a grand speech. It happened in the middle of his lowest, most pathetic failure. He was standing in a room full of people he spent years trying to impress, and in an instant, his biggest secret was exposed to the light. He expected the world to end, for the ground to swallow him whole, or for the laughter to be so loud that it would deafen him forever. Instead, he saw something much worse. He saw indifference. People glanced at his ruin for a second, whispered a quick comment, and then went right back to talking about themselves and their own petty problems. That was the moment he realized the most brutal truth of human existence. Nobody is actually thinking about you, because they are too busy worrying about what you are thinking about them. This realization hit him like a physical blow to the chest, stripping away the invisible chains he had worn since childhood. He looked around the room and realized he had sacrificed his dreams, his time, and his very soul for the approval of people who couldn't even remember his middle name. It was a terrifying kind of freedom that felt more like a death than a new beginning. He understood that the they he was always afraid of, the they who might judge or laugh, was a ghost he had invited into his own head. When he finally stopped caring, he didn't become a jerk or a hermit. He simply became real for the first time in 30 years. He stopped asking for permission to exist and started making decisions based on his own internal compass rather than the shifting winds of social trends. The transformation was immediate and jarring to everyone who knew him, because people hate it when you stop playing the role they assign to you. When you stop caring what people think, you become unpredictable, and to a world obsessed with control, unpredictability is a threat. He started saying no to things that drained his energy, and yes to the wild, irrational passions he had suppressed for a decade. He realized that the people who truly mattered didn't care about his status, and the people who cared about his status didn't truly matter. It's a paradox that most people never solve because they are too afraid to face the initial loneliness of authenticity. But the real reason this shift was so disturbing isn't just that he changed, it's what he discovered about the nature of the people he was trying to impress. Here is the secret I promised you. The people you are trying to impress are actually terrified of you. They are clinging to their own masks so tightly that seeing someone walk away from the charade makes them confront their own cowardice. By refusing to care about their judgment, you aren't just freeing yourself, you are holding up a mirror that they aren't ready to look into yet.
If you want to escape the invisible cage and finally start living the life you were meant for, you have to be willing to be the villain in someone else's story. It is time to stop being a background character in a movie directed by strangers. If you're ready to stop being a slave to the crowd and join the few who actually own their destiny, then hit that subscribe button to join our inner circle of truth seekers.
This is Layer of Strength, where small beginnings build powerful legacies.